Welcome to Woodshop 101, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Now meet the yin and yang of woodworking and the lady that keeps them in line, Jeremy, Drew, and Sam.
Welcome to episode 83. Tonight we're going to talk about craftsmanship versus machine operation, beginner projects, and what's new on the podcast. We're joined tonight by our guest host, Brad Rodriguez of Fix This, Build That. What's going on tonight, Brad?
Man, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
We've worked on this for a long time, pretty much since Atlanta. And
it's a good
glad that we finally able to all track down a date that works for us.
Yeah. I think we rescheduled like 3 times.
Yeah. So, what's going on with you, Drew?
Oh, not a lot. Had a few things develop over the past few days. Can't really go into great detail, but I did get to clean up the shop because of it. So at least I'm standing in an area instead of having to straddle several things in my floor.
Well, I mean, you got a different background. I'm used to seeing, some the awesome decorating that your wife does.
Yeah, that's usually done in the air conditioning, and for some reason I decided to sweat it out in the shop with you guys, so I feel privileged.
Yeah, I'm not sweating it out in the shop. I'm going to sit here in my office. So, all right, Brad. Well, you want to give our listeners that maybe don't know you a little quick rundown on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, Fix This, Build That. That's my channel, and I actually, I do YouTube videos, obviously, and I started doing Instagram. That's kind of where I did, and then that birthed into a blog, which then was into a YouTube channel. So I do DIY and woodworking, basically intermediate projects. So I'll do a lot of work with hardwoods, but then maybe I'll do some easy construction on the base. So kind of a bridge gap between those folks who are coming from like pocket hole joinery and dimensional lumber is like, hey, you can use a joiner and a planer and some hardwoods and get some really awesome stuff. So trying to bring people along to that next step in their woodworking.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of your shop projects are, a lot of people talk about them, especially like your flip cart and your more recent clamp rack that you did for Jet, things like that. It's sad to say, and we can talk about that a little bit more. Mine that I started building of yours is still sitting in pieces in the shop floor.
Yeah, I understandable, man. And I have some of those projects too. But yeah, that's the other thing is definitely shop projects. I love a good shop project. So, I try to be like Drew, make my shop stuff. But I'm just doing what I can.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk.
Yeah, that seems to be my main thing is shop projects.
Well, you know what, Drew? You're killing it, though. That's your thing, and you're killing it with especially with coming out with a sled and all the attachments. So it might be your thing, but you found a niche that you're working in. So
everybody loves shop projects, man. It's just like, yeah.
That's right.
So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the sponsor of this show. The sponsor is Larissa, and it's an innovative mattress brand that's challenging the often dreaded traditional mattress buying experience. No one wants to visit those awkward and grungy mattress stores where you're forced to spend thousands of dollars on subpar sleep experience. Larissa has completely changed the game, so you can now enjoy the comfort of a luxury mattress at a fraction of the price. The Larissa mattress starts at $575. Larissa provides a complimentary 100-night risk-free trial and free shipping, always so that you can properly try it out in the comfort of your own home. You can visit Larissa.com, use the promo code Countryside Workshop 75 at checkout to save $75 on a Larissa mattress, and we'll get a kickback from that, so it'll definitely help us out. Keep the lights on. See, I'm running on low power. I only got a few lights on here, so.
Apparently, I make more money.
Well,
you're much well lit than either of us, Drew.
Yeah.
They're real high-powered candles.
Yes.
Exactly. I had to go buy some new candles today just to be able to record.
Yeah, I've got my podcast lighting on.
Mood lighting.
Mood lighting, that's right.
I'm just trying to set the mood for you, Drew. That's it, So let's start.
You do a good job.
That Barry Manilow voice and get real deep. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the shop. Jeez, man, I'm tired. All right, Brad, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I just put a project out this week, and this was some concrete side tables I did, and I kind of like I started making the project, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. So it ended up being a 2-tool build, the Modern Maker podcast 2x4 build, as well as a collaboration with DIY Pete. So instead of just doing like one of those things, I was like, why don't I just do all 3 of them? So I did that. That was a really fun project. So I built 2 side tables, and each of them was 2 2x4s with concrete tops. And all I used was not a miter saw. All I used was a circular saw and a drill. And so that was kind of fun. And so I'm kind of doing all the post-project release stuff and putting that out and getting ready for my next one. So the next thing I'll be doing is a lathe stand. So I'm pretty excited about that. Back to the shop projects, man. Got to go shop projects.
Yeah. Those side tables you did, those are pretty clean looking. I mean, the concrete is just, it's so smooth. And working with DIY Pete, he all his concrete things is just awesome. So. Oh
yeah, he's the concrete master, man. Him and Ben Ueda, they're just like I was like, all right, I want to learn how to do concrete. All right, I just watched like their videos, and then that was it.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. I see something, I'm like, I want to try that, and I watch a whole bunch of videos, and I'm like, no, I don't want to try that. Let's go do something. Let's find something else.
After you see him do that polishing and all that slurry getting all over.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't go that route. Yeah, mine was the low budget.
So did you leave yours unfinished, or did you seal it at the end?
So I did, and so like you're saying, it is very modern look, and I did a whole outdoor patio set. So I have a sofa that goes with it, a coffee table that's basically that exact same design except larger, and I had for both of those I did no dyeing of the concrete, so it's just natural concrete. And then I formed them in a melamine form, and that gives a super smooth finish on the top, man. It's like when you take them out, it is like almost glass smooth. The only issues is you have like some of those pits and holes where the air bubbles are in there. So I did like a slurry mixture and then sanded it, but that's all I did is just to fill some of those bubbles. And so I didn't do any wet polishing or wet sanding, and it looks great. I like the organic look, so I don't want it to be like exactly perfect. If you wanted to do that and get a nice shine on it, but it looks awesome with just the concrete straight off the melamine. So when I cast it, I did it so that the top was down. So you cast it upside down, and then when you pull it out, you just, fill any holes and do some light sanding, and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, concrete is definitely on the to-do list. I just don't know when I'll ever get around to doing it.
But do something small. It is amazing how much that stuff weighs. I mean, so I had a 20 by 20 by 1.5 inch top, and those were like 45 pounds. So it's beefy, man.
Yeah, that's I would like to do like an outdoor table for our covered patio, but I'm like, man, you're gonna have to get several dudes to muscle it. So.
For sure. The coffee table I did was about a bag and 3/4. And so that was about 140 pounds. And that's just like 3 foot I think that was 3 foot by 2 foot. So yeah, if you're doing a table, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'll have to try something small. Maybe do Ben Ueda's little concrete stool that he did with the 5-gallon bucket.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the 3-legged stool. Yeah.
Might have to give that a try then. Do something small with the concrete.
Maybe some drink coasters,
Yeah, there we go. Something that's just nice and tight.
I was wondering.
So,
I'm gonna make some paperweights.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pour concrete and then go set it on my desk.
Yeah, make a ball of concrete.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, what do you got going on?
Right now I am about to get ready to start making another jig attachment for the sled. This will be attachment number 3. And I'm finishing up the plans for it as well to get them posted on my website this weekend as well. So but it's going to be another 45 miter attachment, but it's going to make long miters, so you can use it for like edge banding tabletops and things like that. Since my table saw cabinet that I have right now, and the way that my table saw that is in it is designed, it's got the motor sticking out the back. So I had to plug all that stuff up with plywood so my dust collection would work properly, and I can't tilt my blade, otherwise I got to take all that crap back off. So I'm having to fight the inability of my saw to, tilt 45 or even, I don't know, probably even 22 and a half with jigs that allow me to make those cuts without having to turn the blade. So that's what I plan on making to go on that sled.
Is this going to be the one that goes just on one side of the blade?
Yeah.
You're just going to make it where it actually attaches to the sled, though, instead of being its own independent sled.
Right. It's going to be made slightly different, though, so I have a little bit more zero clearance right at the base of the sled. That way I can... Well, plus the attachments are also going to be adjustable, so the sled can actually scoot left and right, either right up to the blade or away from the blade, so I can actually cut a miter and then turn the piece over and then put it flat on the sled and then cut a spline groove down the whole thing. So nice. With that movement left and right, I can actually have two different options on the same jig.
Nice. I think that's a great option because, like you were saying about moving that, because I used to have the motor hanging off the back and have the dust collection, same thing. But like even on my saw now, if I'm ever cutting miters, like it's so hard to get that repeatable, even if you use like a Wixie digital cube or whatever. Like being able to just leave your blade at 90 degrees all the time, that's like, I think that's a huge improvement, because then your jig's always going to be the same, right? Like whatever you make it at, and you can make some adjustments, I'm sure, but like that is got to be way more advantageous than trying to hone in that same angle on your table saw every time.
Yeah, and I figured I could make, if I wanted to make like a 22.5 degree jig, I could do that as well. And it would just be another attachment that can just hang on the wall and I can grab it when I need it. So yeah, my saw blade never changes.
Yeah, that's nice.
So are you gonna dispose of all your other independent jigs now? Are you gonna hold on to them?
The ones that were made specific for the saw, they will probably get discarded. I actually already discarded one of them.
That's the reason why I ask is because jigs are taking up a big portion of like shop floor right now, and I know there's ways to hang them on the wall, there's ways to strap them down from the ceiling, things like that. But I've really in the last few days have contemplated scrapping a large chunk of them, if not all of them. I will be making a sled probably sometime pretty soon, and for the fact, I mean, it's just I haven't used them. I mean, I couldn't even tell you some of my 45s. I probably haven't used them in a year, and so at what cost am I just keeping them to take up valuable shop space versus how long it took me to make it. It may have taken me an extra 2 or 3 hours to get one made when I needed it. So could I do it again if I needed it? Yeah, probably. So that's what I was asking, is I think I'm going to discard most of mine, if not all of them. Especially like one of the more difficult ones to actually make was my coping, my table saw coping fence. But I only used it one time. I used it 3 years ago, and haven't used it since. And it's been sitting there, and it's awkward because every single piece on that moves. It's adjustable. So I think at least that one would probably go by the wayside, being that it was a one-time use and haven't used it since. So
yeah. That's one reason why I'm making these, is to replace a lot of the ones that I have, and I've had them for so long, I've used them for so long that some of them have kind of gotten the accuracy's kind of gone out of sync. So I had to kind of redo them, and plus I wanted to make them better with more adjustability and functionality with those T-tracks.
Yeah. Well, this week, believe it or not, I've actually been pretty busy in the shop. I think it's one of my busier weeks in probably since I moved here. Had a lot going on, getting around to trying to get the dining room table finished. So I've been testing finishes, and every finish I've kind of tested, every variation, I've not been happy with. So that, I've been doing that, and so last night I was on the MWA podcast, and I was talking to those guys, and I think after the table's been sitting here, I mean it's usable. It just doesn't have finish on it. I think the raw wood is growing on me. I might just throw in like some armor seal and call it good. I will have to get the approval, of course, from my wife. I'll show her all the test boards. I'll show her all the test boards and let her kind of pick what she wants to go with. But I'm going to try to persuade her to go the route of just putting on a clear top coat, because I think the rustic look, and so I made it out of poplar, and the grain pattern actually reminds me very much of hickory. So it's very rustic looking, but done so in an elegant way. So it will definitely save me time if she doesn't want it darker. So we'll have to hopefully she'll decide on that one, but we'll see. So that's
Fingers crossed.
Does it have a lot of sapwood in it? Does it have a lot of the greens or the browns?
It has a lot of the browns. In fact, so the lumber I got was primarily all browns, and like at least one side of the boards was primarily all browns, and the other side was primarily all
the greens.
No, had no green. I had no green.
Oh no,
which is crazy because I bought like 200 board feet and had no greens.
How old was it? Because that's what, a lot of times that green will turn brown. It darkens up over time. Because I had a lot of I had some poplar, like when I first started doing some like serving trays and stuff. I made some, and then I looked back at them and I was like, holy crap! Like they had the green turn like complete, like a caramel, almost like a caramel brown.
Yeah, that's exactly what pretty much all this is. There's one like one strip on the far side of the table over there that is not sapwood. And it adds to that nice contrast. And I purposely put all the sapwood up because it would be a little bit darker. And like you said, it will darken up a little bit over time as the wood ages a little bit more. So that's it. And I'm really digging the look. I think if it would have all been just the clear white poplar, I would have probably ended up going with the stain. To make it a little bit darker, but I'm liking the look of it, so I hope she will too. And that'll make it so much easier because I can throw the clear on it, and then that will be done. Moving on to the benches, so this week I've been testing stain. I got test boards out in the shop. Today was the last day of school for my son, and that thing crept up on me really fast. It was like Tuesday night, and I was like, crap, last day's on Friday, and I haven't done anything for his teacher, no kind of gift. And I've been pretty big on, like, at the end of the year trying to make something for his teachers for the past couple of years. And so I was like, what am I going to do? So I threw together a succulent planter, kind of just very geometric shaped. Used a lot of the offcuts from the table, some of the better plywood, and I've been cranking on that all week. And finally, like literally putting the plant in it as I'm walking out the door to go pick up my son from school today, so he can give it to his teacher. So like calling it like at go time, like ready to go, and I'm still like putting stuff on it just to leave. So I've been working on that. I've been trying to get a little bit of the clamp rack done that I've been working on your design there, Brad. That's being a shop project. At least in my shop, they tend to take the back seat when other things are up. But it will probably get done this weekend because all those clamps, I think I have 40 or so clamps, and those are taking up valuable shop space too, sitting on the floor, under the table saw, under the assembly table.
Oh yeah.
So to get those up, that will clear up a lot of space. So I've been working on plans as well this week. I think last night I worked on plans for my wife's dresser. So this has actually been one of my busier weeks. Just got a lot going on, trying to hammer out a lot of things. But now that I don't have to worry about that end of the school year project, and hopefully that she buys off on the finish that I want to go with, we'll be moving on. I'm going to go tomorrow, pick up the lumber to start building on the benches for the table. So those will take about 3.5 years there, Drew. Yeah, you're on mute, Drew.
Yeah, sorry about that. He was already beating me to it. I almost said a year, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what it's going to take?
Yeah, those will take 3.5 years. No, at that point, like if they take any more than like a month, she'll go buy chairs. So.
Well, I remember somebody threatening to buy a whole new table if that thing wasn't done, and it's still not quite done yet. So I think it's like hollow threads. That's probably what it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna call her out on that. No. The deal was I would have it done. Before her mom came back in April. I can't remember, something happened, and she told me not to worry about it. We would just wait, because I was getting ready to go out of town, and I went out of town. And I guess this will be the first public post I've made about this, because I've been quite upset about it. There hadn't been a lot on the table since I came back 2.5 weeks ago. Let's see, the Wednesday before I left to come back home, I separated my shoulder in Virginia during a mountain biking accident, and I found out on Monday that it was definitely separated at my, what they call the AC joint, which is the collar, where the collarbone and the upper shoulder meet. And it's been quite painful. I've been, pretty much everything I do brings a lot of pain. And they may want to do surgery on it, which means I'll be probably out of the shop for up to 6 months. And I've been pretty down about it. Yeah. So hopefully they don't end up doing surgery, and I don't have to stay out of the shop. But it's been something that I've been trying to wrap my head around for the last 5 days. So I think getting out in the shop a little bit each night has been very therapeutic to keep my mind off of it, and just remind me that there's other things that can be done that don't necessarily require such drastic movement of the shoulder. You can work on plans, you can work on smaller projects. So that's at least that's what's going on in my little corner of the world, a whole lot. So
I think those concrete drink coasters, you could kill that with just one arm.
yeah, see, look, that's right there. How many coasters do you think you can get out of one bag? Like a couple hundred?
Holy crap! Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so.
Start selling them by the truckload.
Craft shows.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I actually, funny story about that. I had the bright idea, so I had one of the hobby lasers, the full spectrum lasers, and I was like, what would be really cool is if I made some coasters with it. And so I was like, I could just use 1/4-inch plywood, and I'll cut it out and do a design on it. And I did that. And so I just started cutting them, and you can get a lot of coasters out of a 4x8 sheet of 1/4-inch plywood. So I was just like cutting into pieces. But then what I didn't realize, because I just kept cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. And then I was like, all right, well, I got to put some finish on these. And then I was like, oh, well, I probably got to sand it. And I was like, wow, this was the worst idea ever. Just pushing the button was great. And I was like, oh man, this is like, I'm just going to put, it's like a money making machine. I'll just push the button, it'll go, and I can sell them. And I was like, oh yeah, I have to sand them and finish them and, put another coat on them because they're going to have like water on them all the time. So yeah, that, I got out of the coaster business really quickly.
Did you finish the coasters though?
Oh yeah. I got them right here.
He's like, I got them all right here.
I got, yeah, like all of yeah, it's a little, pack of 6. I'll give you a great bargain on them.
Here, buy the entire box. Go ahead. $19.99.
Yeah, I was so like just done with it. I literally didn't even list them. I give them for presents. So I'm like, I'm not even going to try to sell these. Like, this is stupid. Because then somebody will want one,
They'll be like, why would I buy your 6 coasters when I can just make a whole sheet of plywood out of them?
That's right. I'll say, yeah, go for it, buddy. Have fun with that.
It's a whole lot more work
you
than what you
just
want.
sand away.
You know what? I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna have to find some concrete and make some concrete coasters now.
Yeah.
But see, then again, you start thinking about you got to make your melamine form, and you're like, that alone's gonna take half an hour, and then maybe I'm not gonna make coasters. No, probably not.
Told you, paperweights. You don't even have to put a lot of effort into that. You can even mold it with your hand.
That's right. Artisan paperweights.
I could, but
Organic.
I have enough weights and stuff holding down everything else on my desk right now that needs to get cleaned. So, you want to transition, Drew? Or you?
I'm not the transitioner. You are.
Oh, how's that me, dude? That's usually always you. Always you.
No. No. That's cheating.
No, see, it says your name right there, dude.
I was just waiting for you.
It says your name.
Well, since Jeremy cheated, I guess I will go into the next thing, which is our Patreon supporter. We want to give a big shout out to Michael Brindle for being the top Patreon supporter for Woodshop 101. We want to take this time to thank everybody that has visited our Patreon page to help us keep the lights going on here at the shop. So thank you very much, Michael. And if you guys want to become a patron of the show, just hang tight for a little bit. Jeremy will explain how and where you can go to do that. So there, I get you back right there.
Oh, look, see I knew you could transition.
Yeah, see there. Well, let's go ahead and get into the topic real quick. I'm sure people are quite bored of what's going on in our shop because Jeremy just talks and talks and talks, and those kind of people are just annoying.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. All over. Well, we did have a message from Larissa. Now, Jeremy, enlighten me. Where did this comment come from? How did it get to us?
God, yeah. Where did it come from? Oh,
just make it up.
It came on the website. In fact, I noticed that you probably didn't respond to it, and I sent it to you in your email, Drew.
No, I didn't respond to it.
Yeah, well, I responded to it.
We do it here. Will you respond to it?
Well, sometimes people don't want to wait 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks till they get their question answered. So I went ahead and answered it on the website. But yeah, no, that's where it came from.
Well, you have more access to the website than
I do. You have access to write comments.
No. Let's not split hairs here. So Larissa writes, "Hey guys, I've stumbled across your podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I probably have listened to about 20 plus episodes now. Thanks for the effort you put in and all the tips and tricks. I enjoy listening. I'm quite new to woodworking and found it hard to choose projects that don't involve a table saw, which I don't own yet. I do most of my projects with my compound miter saw. Any ideas for a beginner project that don't use a table saw? And hi from Canada."
Outdoor side tables.
See, there you
go. That's a home run. Did y'all set that one up for me?
Yeah. See, look at that. You don't need a table saw to make concrete. Not at all.
No.
or square coasters.
Or square coasters.
Well, since Brad, since you're our guest host, you can go ahead and kick the answer off here. So we'll take your opinion first.
Yeah, and I get, being a beginner woodworker, right? So she didn't really mention what kind of wood she's building with or anything like that. So I'm just going to assume that she's probably at the home center to start off with, like most folks do. And man, you can build a ton of projects out of just dimensional lumber. Some of my favorite sites. So Anna White's site, annawhite.com or anna-white.com, rogueengineer.com. They both have really great projects, a lot of which do not need a table saw. And you're going to still have obviously some of the rounded corners if you're using the 2x material. If you're using the 1x material, you can have the square edges. But if you go to those sites, there are a ton of things. And I made the coffee table that I did. I actually left the rounded corners from the 2x4, so I didn't use a table saw on that one. So yeah, you can make some really cool projects. I mean, from just anything, side tables, coffee tables, anything that really you can put in your house. You can use off-the-shelf lumber from the home center.
Yep. And I made the Anna White version of the 2x4 sectional for my front porch.
Yeah.
And that was a huge project in itself, but it was all cut on the compound miter saw. So that is actually a big project that you can accomplish with basically one tool and two tools because you need a drill. But it was big, and then I made a coffee table to complement it. So that's a good reference. There's Anna White. So
yeah, absolutely. I was telling you guys earlier, I did a sofa, and that video, Anna's video, is like the top refer to my video because it's an outdoor sofa. And I did the same thing. I didn't use the table saw at all. I just used the 2x4 cedar lumber. I try to spice it up, instead of just the 2x4 pine, I go high, upper end, cedar. Because then it's like,
oh, man.
You're like, well, yeah, it's 2x4, but it's, a cedar 2x4.
Yeah.
So that makes it better, in my mind at least.
I couldn't afford lighting in my shop if I'd have went with cedar.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
No.
Well,
but I guess if you don't want to pay for cedar, I guess you could use pressure treated. That way it could withstand a little bit more outdoor use.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you should just go with cedar. just
bite the bullet. Yeah, just bite the bullet.
Go with
it's not
cedar.
that much more. But that's probably not the question she's really asking here. Is what lumber should she use? I'm going to kind of answer this one at a different angle here and say, instead of like giving you a project that you could do, pick any project. If you didn't say that you have a circular saw, if you don't, they're relatively cheap to pick up. You can pick up one, I think, around $50, $60, maybe a little bit lower than that if you go with like the Skill brand or something. But if you get that in a solid straight edge guide, or even make your own homemade track. Drew's got a video up on that. I know that you could copy. It's you could go any project. I mean, you could rip down sheet goods with it. You could build cabinets with it. You don't need a table saw. You can get by with a good straight edge guide and a circular saw. So I wouldn't let the project or that thing you want to build limit you because you don't have a table saw. Table saws are nice to have, but a lot of people get by without it. And I would lean to say that table saw. A lot of people like to refer to like they're that official woodworker once they got that table saw. That's not necessarily the case. You could hold off for a long time without one. So that's my 2 cents on it. But I also own a table saw, so.
Yeah, I agree with you mostly there, Jeremy. I think like for casework for sure, sheet goods. But like if you have an 8-inch board and you want to cut it to 6.5 inches, like and maybe that's a bad. If you have a 4-inch board and you want to cut it to 3 inches, circular saw ain't going to help you.
No, you're absolutely right.
Right. So for sure, I think if she wanted to do some stuff with plywood, some casework, that would be a great way to use the circular saw. But yeah, that's where the table saw comes in spades, right? Is making those like 1.5-inch trim pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess I was, approaching that more under the assumption like if you're using, you have it like you just got started into it, like you said, you're probably not going out buying expensive lumber.
Yep.
So if you have a a 4 or 5 inch wide board and you want to cut it down to 3, well then just buy a 2x3, or a 2x4, which comes in at 3.5. So buy a little bit smaller lumber that fits the dimensions you need it to fit, so you don't have to worry about ripping it.
Yeah, and if you want to pay too, you can get walnut in already dimensioned, like already surfaced and everything. So yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
So, all right, well, that's an awesome question, Larissa, and definitely thanks for writing in. I think you said you were on episode 20 or something, so it'll be a while probably before you hear this one. So just give us some feedback and let us know how it works out for you, and if you ever picked up a table saw, and share some of the projects that you've built. So,
this jerk's never answered me.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think?
83. Okay.
Why do you think I wrote the comment on the website so she can at least read it ahead of time?
Yeah, by the time she gets to the answer, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that on top of my Rubo workbench that I built last year."
Exactly. and that 5 horsepower saw stop that I already have, so don't worry about it.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's get into voicemail. We got a voicemail here from none other than the Alabama woodworker again.
Hey guys, sorry I got disconnected there accidentally. This is Alabama woodworker again. Thought I'd bring up a question or a topic suggestion that sort of has been bothering me for a little while now. I recently took a tour of 3 local cabinet shops because I'm in the process of designing my kitchen remodel, and I wanted to see what the industry standard techniques were before I tackled the project myself. I saw something quite disturbing from 2 out of the 3 cabinet shops that I visited. One of the shops in particular is named after the owner, who praises himself as a master craftsman and doing custom work since 1997, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I'm not going to give any names, so, don't worry about that. But on the site, they had a couple of job site table saws, a couple of cabinet boring machines, shapers, edge banders, and these 2 massive CNC router machines. One CNC router was dedicated to cutting the cabinet carcasses, while the other slightly smaller machine made like cabinet doors and drawer fronts. And I suspect that's for like MDF painted cabinets, for like MDF doors and drawer fronts. But what disturbed me is that I was constantly questioning if I was seeing craftsmanship or simply machine operation and sort of a mastery of supply chain. So how does this matriculate into our little world of woodworking as hobbyists? How much of our skill building is simply machine operation versus craftsmanship? And for that matter, what is learning the craft? What is craftsmanship? Thanks for taking my call, guys. Love the show. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right.
Hey Siri, what is craftsmanship?
I think he got in. He brought up some good points, but I think he's getting into some theory there. What is craftsmanship? What is skill building? We can attempt to tackle that one. I'm not sure we're going to do it any kind of justice. But
Dude, I don't know about you, but CNC programs take some skill to me.
Yep.
I have a hard time with those things.
So I think, his first part of his question, what craftsmanship really versus the machine operation. Would you see any kind of difference between, like CNC? Would you say CNC work is not craftsmanship?
And I think, and I've heard this discussion before on a bunch of different forums, right? And so it's the age-old question of how does technology play into craftsmanship? And I think the biggest thing is that technology levels the playing field of craftsmanship, because I think in his mind, and clearly by the words he was using, he was disturbed. I thought he was going to say like they were doing 16th inch cuts like with their finger as a push stick. I didn't see it going that way. So I think the technology levels the playing field, because as you can use that, and to me, a CNC is no different than a jig on a table saw. It's a means to do something more effective, more efficient, more repetitive that you can do, or for that matter, using SketchUp, right? So is it any less of a good design because we do it now in SketchUp versus doing it in drafting and doing it by hand? I mean, you can kind of play that thing all the way down to back to, hand tools and all that. So for me, I think the craftsmanship is in the total package of your attention to detail, right? And so just because you're using a CNC machine, you could probably do a really crappy job of making something with a CNC machine, right? The way you design it, whatever you do. And how it's constructed and craftsmanship, it just depends upon how you're defining it. To me, it would be something that's going to last, something that looks good, that's appealing to my eye, and that's going to also last, right, a lifetime. It's going to be an heirloom product. To me, that's what craftsmanship is. And if you get there by hand tools, or if you get there with the help of a CNC, the end product is what it is for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to buy into that, the CNC, or even, nowadays laser is not woodworking or not craftsmanship, because, I mean, is a machine cutting the material? Yes. On a table saw, does the machine cut the material? On a router, does the machine cut the material? Yes. Instead of a computer running it, you're running it, but you still have to design it. So you still have to have that designer's mentality to go in there and figure out what looks good, what doesn't look good, and how to assemble it. You still have to think about your joinery. To me, you're actually adding a step. You're adding a whole different design element that you have to put into a computer, and now you're relying on that computer to execute something that you want. So in my opinion, kudos on the cabinet shop for knocking out carcasses with a CNC machine. Can they pull out more money? Absolutely. Can you tell a difference? I don't know. I would say you probably in the end game probably can't tell much of a difference. But like you said, Brad, you can take it all the way back. I mean, they probably had the same conversation, 75 years ago, 100 years ago, where older guys were saying, "Oh, well, those table saws, that's not real woodworking. You're not cutting it with the panel saw." Well, okay, here we are today, and now we've adopted the mentality of machines. Building projects by machines is woodworking. It's craftsmanship. Well, this is just that next step in the evolution process. They're still designing, they're still building. So I don't see why people would consider that not to be craftsmanship. So I don't really see a difference there. It's just how they want to execute it. If that's what makes them passionate, then go for it. So
I think what a lot of the people are kind of concerned with is that it's kind of taking the human element out of it completely.
But
and like you said, it is evolving, and yeah, it does take the human to be able to design it. But some people are like, well, there's a difference between knowing how to do something and actually executing something. I know how to do a lot of things, but I may not be able to execute it very well. So that's one reason why people that don't know how to execute things very well use a CNC machine, because it kind of gives them that ability that they don't naturally have. So it is a very hot topic button that, like Brad said, it's been on a lot of forums. And I remember when CNCs kind of first hit the market, and everybody was just up in arms that, oh, great, now machines are going to start running the world when it comes to woodworking, and we're not going to have jobs, kind of thing. When it comes to the craftsman part, by definition, to me, and I didn't read the definition, sorry. It's basically how much time and effort that you want to put into something as to the outcome of the quality. And a lot of these big furniture stores that just mass produce, using machines to do it all, it's not necessarily the machine's fault that the furniture is not top notch. It's sometimes the human element that inspects all of this stuff as it goes out, and whether or not it's going to be like a 1-year piece of furniture or 20-year piece of furniture. And I don't know. To me, I like the CNCs. I do think they have their place in woodworking, but I don't think I would rely more than 50% of my business to a CNC machine, like a cabinet shop. This particular cabinet shop does. But I think it's also based upon how fast of a turnaround that they want to have. So if they're trying to crank out tons and tons of cabinets, then yeah, you're going to have to rely more on that. But it's each person's perspective. How do you want to run that business? Do you want to crank out a whole bunch of cabinets, multiples per day, or do you want to take the time and make sure that it's done by hand in certain ways yourself to make sure that it's done right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's an interesting. I mean, you hit on something there, Drew. I think about where he even mentioned in the voicemail about is it just mastering supply chain? Is that they talk about you can have speed, quality, or price, but you can only choose two, right? So when he's saying that there's a lack of craftsmanship, I would be very interested to know that other guy who doesn't use the CNC machines, what's his turnaround time and what are his prices? And so if you want to pay for that, so it's different, right? If you pay for handmade, I mean, this is a business. Those guys are running businesses. So that's also very different. That's a for-profit business. And they don't, I mean, that's their marketing thing, right? Craftsmanship, and I'm sure they learn. But any little thing that they can do to make an extra buck or to be more profitable or to serve their customers better, if they're able to keep the same quality, as a business owner, that's what you do. Unless you are positioning yourself in the marketplace as heirloom quality, handcrafted furniture, right? So it's all about how you're positioning yourself. And if that guy that's not using CNC, like, I hope that he is doing that and saying, hey, we're still all handmade. And so for folks that are concerned with that and want to pay an extra premium, which they should, or else the other guy's margins are just better, then, that's there. So I think it all depends upon how you're marketing yourself and how you're positioning in the marketplace when you're talking about a business. Now, if you're just talking about a hobbyist, then sure, that's, a whole nother ballgame. But, that's a business. So I don't blame those guys at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And so to kind of tackle that last, you put what is skill building? Well, skill building is just that. It's you identify what you want to learn and you're building it, right? So I don't think it takes away just because you're trying to be on a CNC. There is still a skill there that you need to work on. Whether you decide you want to go bake cookies and cakes for your new hobby and get rid of woodworking, there's still a skill there that you have to learn. So kudos to
dude. Shut up! That's a secret.
So just kudos to that because they've identified somewhere that they want to learn and it's something different and they're willing to tackle it. They're willing to learn. The minute that as humans, the minute that we stop learning, we stop growing. We stop offering something to the world because we're not bettering ourselves and we're not potentially bettering the world around us that we live in. It's funny hearing myself say that because 6 years ago, I would have never probably thought about that. But now that I have kids and I start thinking about what their future is, not just my future, how do I want, things to be for him in 15 years or 20 years? And I would want him to approach life the same way that, keep learning regardless of what it is, in 20 years from now, who knows? CNCs may be the most common thing in a woodworking shop. There may be some other new and improved thing out there that that everybody's like, oh my God, is that really woodworking? Who knows? But if they identify that there's a skill there and they want to learn it, then learn it. I mean, it doesn't really matter where it fits into the shop. So
I guess
what we're saying is don't be so closed-minded when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. I just had this vision when you were saying that, Jeremy, of like my grandkids being like, like today we're like, oh, I just restored my grandfather's like Stanley number 4. Like, oh, I just restored my dad's Inventables X-Carve. Like, right? I mean,
yes, that's actually pretty awesome that you said that. That's awesome.
And the trying to find parts was
oh my god, yeah, and it's still got an issue with that pulley system.
I had to go to that antique store to get that cable to run it.
Yeah.
Oh man, you see, you bring
that's
a whole
pretty
good point. Exactly, that's pretty awesome.
It's all time relative. We're just viewing it through our lens right now, right? And another 20 years down the road, it's going to be a completely different lens.
Yeah, you're right. It will be. I mean, it's a different lens to them already. My son's 6, my daughter's 2, and it's already a different lens. They live in their own world. They see things differently. So, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's new or what's coming. We're not going to spill any beans on you guys yet, but there is going to be some changes to the podcast in a few weeks. So actually the next time we sit down to record, which is like somewhere around June 9th, there's going to be some changes. I think Drew and I talked about this long and hard. You have to, once something stops becoming enjoyable or isn't as enjoyable, you got to change things up. And we've been going at this 2.5 years now, going on 3 years, and we haven't made any significant changes in probably a year and a half, Drew, at least. Yep. So we're gonna make some changes. There'll be maybe some format changes. Potentially, there will be there will be a different voice on the podcast. Let's put it that way. At some point,
staffing.
Yeah, there will be some new staffing. Whether you want to take that right now as somebody's leaving or we're adding a third person, it's the suspense. You'll have to have suspense for a few weeks.
Listen, all I want to say is that I'm just honored to be part of the unenjoyable thing that's been going on for so long. To put an end cap on that.
Yeah, there you go.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's,
exclamation. Brad has topped our unenjoyable run.
Well, now that we have Brad on, we're gonna wrap it up, and we'll just go ahead and tell you guys we're the podcast is done. It's over now. Brad's been on. We're good.
We quit.
No, you know how it is. I mean, you do something for so long, and it becomes monotonous. There's always got to be room for change and room for growth and improvement, and we identified an area that we think we could grow into, and so we're gonna move in that direction, and who knows, it may not work out. We may come back to the same format, and we may, that may be where it's at, but we gotta give things a try, and see where it goes from there. So listen, have some suspense. And we'll see where it goes in a couple weeks.
And here's what we need from these people that are going to be listening to this new format. We want some feedback, because without feedback, we have no idea if we're moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. So we want to know what you guys think after we introduce the new changes on the 9th.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop into like some product recommendations. Drew, you want to go first?
Sure. I actually have my product sitting right here with me. I got to show them off. I had these acquired probably, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, I think. And they're the 18 volts plus one Ryobi speakers. You can see those. And they run off the 18 volt lithium battery in the back. And these things sound really, really good. I mean, even better than, one of the boom boxes that I've got in the house. So I've even acquired some really nice Bluetooth speakers before in the past, and these just don't compare. And they accept up to 5 speakers all the way around. So you can pair this one master speaker up with 4 other speakers and have like surround sound in your shop running Bluetooth off of your phone. I've been super impressed with them. I'll take both of them out to the hot tub or the pool, and we can just jam the music while we're out there. And they work great. So
hey,
that's my product recommendation.
They don't call them boom boxes anymore. That's
boom boxes, yeah.
That's a thing of the past. We don't call them that anymore. Okay, call them. Like
I'm with you. I'm with you, Drew.
Myself. I know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm with you, dude.
I mean, are you carrying it around on your shoulder still?
Does this look familiar?
See, there you go. So, yeah, it's funny that's what you're recommending, because I was actually at Home Depot today, which has been a stressful ordeal for me. But I saw them, and I was, I really think I'm going to end up picking up a pair. I'm more want them to Bluetooth to what's the Amazon device called, the Alexa. I have
the Echo.
The Echo. I have the little bitty one, the Tap, I think, or the Dot. The Dot's what it's called.
Dot.
I have the little bitty one, and I have it hooked up to a small Bluetooth speaker here in the house. And it sounds all right, but I was really thinking, I was like, all right, well, if I can get these, and it says, like you say, you can hook up to 5, I could have them spread out throughout the house, because you can plug them in through AC adapter as well. You don't have to run them off of the battery. So spread them out, a couple different locations throughout the house. And, as we're cleaning or doing whatever else around the house, we could, turn one speaker on or turn a couple on. And as we move to a different room, we can turn another one on, and we're still keeping the same music. So you're kind of getting like a whole house kind of surround, or a whole house music system. So I think I'll probably end up picking up a pair just for that reason alone, and give them a try. So
yeah, those are cool. I saw those I was down in Atlanta a few weeks ago for their Home Depot had an event down there, and they were kind of debuting those down there. They really did sound good. I unfortunately did not pick up a pair, but they still sounded good.
Yeah. I mean, that's at the point I don't really need them in my shop, because I have the Ryobi speaker that's in the garage door opener, and that thing, just that little speaker alone, sounds really amazing, and it's loud. But I would definitely have other uses for them. Like out by the pool or sitting out on the back. So I probably will be picking up a pair before too long. So, all right, Brady, what do you want to recommend?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Like we were talking a little bit before about the concrete, and I just think that so this was my second project doing concrete. I know we kind of laughed about it and joked about it in the beginning, but I really think that concrete is a cool way to make a statement, because that concrete look and incorporating some concrete into your projects. A lot of people are scared of it because it's like Drew was saying, it is messy. It can be messy, but you can also do it fairly easily. You don't have to wet sand it and that. So I would recommend just trying a concrete project, trying it for an accent or something like that. There's a ton of those. We talked about DIY Pete and Homemade Modern, Ben's channel. Because I really enjoyed it, and I like the look of it a lot. It's just so organic, and so I'll probably do some more projects with it. And if nobody's done one, and trains, I recommend trains. And
sorry.
Is that a train? A plane? No, it's Superman.
Yeah, so that would be it, man. I'd say try a concrete project.
And concrete's relatively inexpensive. You can get it for like $6 a bag, $7 a bag, maybe even cheaper than that.
I was just at Depot picking up some stuff for a project, and it was $4 a bag for 80-pound bag, which will do. So I did the two tops, two 20 by 20 by 1.5 inch with just over one 80-pound bag. So if you did like 19 by 19, you could easily get two tops out of that. So yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to mention, is that it's super easy. Like, yeah, if you screw it up, and like I literally did that. If you watch my coffee table video, like I was mixing it, then I was like, wow, I did not do this right. And I just like literally chucked it in the backyard and like let it harden and then threw it away. So it's like, okay, it's like a $5 learning lesson.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to recommend the Rikon 10-inch bandsaw. I picked this thing up, I don't know, probably 2 years ago now, and definitely put it through its pace since I've had it. And for a bandsaw of its size, it has the largest cut capacity, or what they call it, the resaw capacity. At, I don't know, somewhere I think around 4.5 inches or something, 5 inches, which is pretty good for a 10-inch bandsaw. And I used it. In fact, this was probably the thickest I've ever used it. I was cutting that succulent planter 2 nights ago and doing a very just geometric shape. So just kind of picking a direction and starting cutting with it. And that was at, let's see, right over 3.5 inches. And it had enough power just to cut through it and keep going. Never once bogged down or anything on me, which was pretty awesome. Now, I can definitely tell the blade has dulled since cutting through all that. But as far as the power of the bandsaw, it works out pretty well. So if you need a cheaper bandsaw, definitely pick one up. Drew, is that you providing all that feedback?
I don't know. Is it?
I think it is. You're blue, so that means it's you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so if you want to get into the bandsaw game and you want to do it relatively cheap, I'd highly recommend picking up the Rikon 10-inch bandsaw. I think it's somewhere around like $250, maybe $300, and it'll get you started out pretty well and get you going on some resawing or anything else you want to do bandsaw work with. So, all right, well, let's get into it. If you'd like to support the show, you can head over to woodshop101podcast.com/listen and find the show notes for today's episode or any episode, and there'll be links down there for some small one-time donations and some recurring donations. Or you can become a patron of our Patreon campaign. You can head over to patreon.com/woodshop101, where you can get a host of other perks. Or you can pick up a awesome t-shirt of ours, Woodshop 101 t-shirt. You can pick that up at countrysideworkshop.com/shop. You can either buy it directly from there, or I also have a link there that you can pick it up straight from the company that prints them, Jute Mode. And they're probably some of the best t-shirts that I've ever had printed up. They're pretty soft, and they don't shrink at all. So look, Andrew's rocking it. He has a uniform for the podcast.
At least someone does.
Mine's dirty. And let's be real, I got Flash. My son got me this while I was out of town, so I'm rocking it.
The thinking.
So, all right, well, if you can't donate to us monetarily, which we really hope that you can head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating. By leave us a rating and a comment, because we like to read the comments off when we get new ones.
I actually got a new one. Have you seen the latest one that was on April 28th?
The one that I'm trying to read off? Is that?
Oh, do you have it?
The one from Cap City Adam?
Cap City Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, what's this? Jeremy finished the table 4+ years later? No, I didn't. Not yet. not yet. You're giving me credit where credit's not due. That was the only thing holding this show back. Now this is definitely a 5-star woodworking podcast, and that's actually from Adam Beasley. Look, Adam, the table's not done yet. It will be done if she lets me finish it how I want to finish it. So, but definitely leave us a 5-star rating. Like I said, it really helps us show up on the new and noteworthy page there in iTunes. So people that don't maybe know who we are will see our cool little thumbnail and click on it and want to listen. So,
all right. Well, before we get off here, Brad, why don't you give everyone contact information on how they can reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Fixthisbuildthat.com is basically the place that you can get to all my information. So I've got plans there. All my YouTube videos are there in the blog posts as well, and all my social media. I'm most active on Instagram, and I'm there pretty much any day. So if you want to send me a comment there, I'd love to talk to the audience. And also, I'll throw in a shameless plug here at the end. Myself and John Malecki, if you guys know him, he's a upcoming YouTube channel maker as well. We are starting our own podcast, and we heard that you guys had a change coming up, so we figured we might as well jump on the bandwagon. And that is the change, is that y'all are now going to our podcast now. It's going to be the podcast is all going to be about it's called Made for Profit, and it's going to be about how to monetize as a maker, and we talk about all kinds of things from business. John is a full-time furniture builder. I am a part-time content creator. So from everything from sponsorships to how do you brand your business to getting new clients to commission work and everything in between. So that will be coming out sometime. Just look for that. But yeah, so if you want to follow that, though, we do have an Instagram already, Made for Profit, and we'll have madeforprofit.com, which was amazing that we were able to get that. So I was surprised that nobody had already taken that.
So you don't have any inkling into a date as to when you might release your first episode?
I will say it should be, what are we in here? We're in the end of May. It should be for sure by the end of June. Absolutely.
So if you're listening to this in the far future, June of 2017.
June of 2017, yes.
Or are we talking June 2018? I mean,
yeah, no, June 2017.
I don't want to jump the bandwagon there.
We're not on Jeremy time here.
Yeah, so go check that out if you want to hear some more about business as a maker, as a craftsman, as a CNC operator.
Whoa! No, hang on.
Yeah.
I was going to see if y'all were going to catch that one.
Wait.
Let's not get carried away.
You know what? We need to end this right here because that's not craftsmanship.
just picking on you there, Wee. Well, for those of you that want to get in contact with Jeremy and myself, we do have special contact sections on our respective websites, which is countrysideworkshop.com and rhwoodshop.com. And you can get in contact with both of us at the same time through the Woodshop 101 website, which is woodshop101podcast.com/listen. There you'll also be able to find all of our episodes that we have done in the past that you can stream on any device. You can also leave us some email kickback through our kickback@woodshop101podcast.com email address. And you can also do like we, Alabama Woodworker, did. Leave us a voicemail at 409-234-3959. We love to get those voicemails. It gives us a lot of interaction with not only the people that are on the podcast, but also you as the viewer or listener. So we thank you very much for sending us that voicemail, Wee. So I guess that pretty much wraps up the episode. So, Brad, we've had a great time, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely, man. I had an awesome time chatting with you guys.
Well, if you are unaware of what we do at the end of this episode, if you've seen my stuff, you know what we need to do. So from Jeremy, Brad, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shops. We will talk to you on the next podcast episode. So 1, 2, 3.
Boom!